What's going on, guys? It's your boy Fano here, and today I'm gonna share with you the most overrated CSGO skin for every weapon in the game. You guys can call this a full overrated CSGO skin loadout. So without any further ado, let's get right into this video, guys. Hit that subscribe button. Let's get started. Here we have a USPS kill confirmed. It's a covert CSGO skin, and it is overrated because there are so many nicer USPS skins that are for a cheaper price and a cheaper rarity. Don't get me wrong, this skin isn't bad, and I don't hate this skin. It's just, I prefer a Cortex, I prefer something like an Orion over this skin. The only other covert USPS skin in CSGO is the Neo Noir, and I prefer it over the kill confirmed as well. Moving right along, here we have a P2000 Ocean Foam, and this skin is from the Operation Bravo case. It's an Operation Bravo collection skin. It's a pretty old CSGO skin, classified, pretty basic design if you ask me. A lot of people like this skin, and I mean the price shows, and it's only expensive because it's from the Bravo case. It is used in trade-up contracts for the illustrious Fire Serpent, and while this skin isn't bad, I still think that it is not worth the price. The design isn't there, and it's just way too overrated if you ask me. Speaking of overrated, this is like one of the king of overrated CSGO skins. Here we have the Glock 18 Fade. Now don't get me wrong, guys, I completely like this skin. I love this skin. It's amazing. It's very nice, shiny, cool, very rare. I get it. But if you look at the design, it's just like, what, 3 colors, and then it's like a gradient. It's nothing really too spectacular, and for the price of like almost $900 pretty much, it's way too expensive if you ask me. It's completely overrated. There are so many nice Glock skins for like a fraction, a tiny sliver of the price of the Fade, so I don't know. To me, this skin is just completely overrated, and it has a spot on this list. Moving right along, here we have the Desert Eagle Crimson Web. Now, you may have wondered, why didn't you include the Desert Eagle Blaze? I get it, the Blaze is just a flame. Okay, you have a point, it's also overrated, but I think the Crimson Web is even more overrated because this skin is worth a ton of money in factory new condition, and if you can find a stat track factory new, you're swimming in a ton of money, and the only thing going for it is its rarity, really. I mean, it's not that impressive of a skin. It's a red CSGO skin with cobwebs, and again, don't get me wrong, I love this skin. I have one in my inventory as well. It's a really nice CSGO skin, but I do think it's overrated. A lot of people really hype this skin and really want this skin, but in the end, the design just isn't as good as some of the other really nice, cheaper Desert Eagle skins in CSGO. Moving on to the R8 Revolver, I decided to go with a Revolver Fade. I don't really know why, I just think that it's the most expensive R8 Revolver skin, the most desirable one. It's still a Fade, and again, like previously stated, there are probably nicer looking designs out there like the Skull Crusher or even the Llama Cannon, which is pretty interesting as well. For our CZ75 auto skin, I decided to go with a Chalice, and the reason I decided to go with this skin is because it is pretty much like 2 colors, and they're pretty dark colors. You can't really see them very well. You have to be in sunlight for it to like really shine in game, and it's just way too expensive and overrated because it is from the Cobblestone collection, a discontinued Operation CSGO collection, and it's no longer obtainable in the game. There are much nicer CZ75 auto skins for a fraction of the price of the Chalice. That being said, here we have a 5.7 case hardened, and again, I gotta say, case hardened skins, they are pretty overrated. A lot of people make such a big fuss over them, and the majority of case hardened skins aren't even that good. Only the ones that have like a significant amount of blue on them actually look decent enough and deserve the hype, so that's why I had to include case hardened 5.7 in this list. And next up, here we have a Tech 9 Nuclear Threat, another really old CSGO skin, but the Nuclear Threat, again, one of the first Tech 9 skins in CSGO. It really isn't that spectacular. It is only expensive because it's old and rare. That's about it. There are, again, nicer Tech 9 skins, nicer design ones that are only a fraction of the price of a factory new or even a minimal wear. And of course, guys, for the same reasons as the Tech 9 Nuclear Threat, I had to include the P250 Nuclear Threat in this list. It's not that I don't like it. It's a nice CSGO skin, but again, a little overrated. Moving right along to some overrated dual Berettas, here we have the Twin Turbos. They pretty much have a ton of color going on, very much overrated because it's a new CSGO skin from a new collection. They were very expensive when they first came out. They are going down in price, and they are still pretty expensive for dually skins, and there are much nicer ones in the Urban Shock as well as the Cobalt Quartz, so definitely check those alternatives out and you'll save a ton of money for a superior CSGO skin. For our Nova skin, here we have a Nova Bloomstick, and this skin is pretty much just a red CSGO skin with a flower on it. Or the vine of a flower, the leaves of a flower, whatever. It's just not that impressive. It's a nice design, but $28 in factory new, that's absurd. And minimal wear for around $8 for a Nova skin, a little too much, guys. Candy Apple will do you guys just fine, and you'll save a ton of money if you do go with it. So next up on my list here, we have a Sawed Off the Kraken, a covert sawed off skin, the only covert sawed off skin. It doesn't really deserve covert. It has an okay design, guys, and yeah, it's just overrated. Next up here, we have the XM1014 Seasons. You guys really like this skin. I really like this skin, but I do think it's a little bit overrated, guys. All that hype surrounding the blue leaf, that illustrious blue leaf, that full spectrum fade. I mean, like, come on, guys. It's just like 3 to 4 colors on this skin. Nothing really too spectacular. That doesn't mean I don't like this skin or I won't use this skin. It's perfectly fine CSGO skin, but again, a little overrated. And then for our Mag 7 CSGO skin, here we have a Syncetia, which is a new CSGO skin from, I believe, the Canals collection. And yes, it is overrated. It's like the second pink Mag 7 skin in CSGO, and it's just worth a ton of money, very expensive compared to any other Mag 7 skin. That's why I had to include it as overrated. And similarly, here we have a Negev Mjolnir. It's the only classified Negev CSGO skin, and it's worth a couple $100s. Need I say more? And then for the M249 skin, I went with a shipping forecast. It doesn't look that great, guys, and the only reason it's expensive is because of its collection, so I decided to go with it. And then moving on to the Mag 10, I had a hard time coming up with one. There were so many candidates out there for this spot, but I ended up going with a Mag 10 Curse simply because a lot of people like this skin, a lot of people think it's really cool, and overall it's not really that amazing. The artwork is decent, but it's nothing spectacular for the price. It's an old CSGO skin from the Huntsman collection. There's a lot of hype and drama surrounding this skin because of the Howl incident, the Howl fiasco. So yeah, it is overrated. And then for our MP7 skin, I ended up going with a Fade. I own a Fade. I like the Fade skins, but yes, they are pretty overrated. There aren't really that many MP5 CSGO skins, but I had to go with the Phosphor. It's the most expensive one, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Go with like an aging, guys. Much better. Next up, however, here we have the P90 Death by Kitty. This skin is just a meme. There's not much else to say. But for our PP Bison skin, I ended up going with an Osiris. Don't get me wrong, this skin looks really good, but it still has scratches even in factory new condition, and the colors, albeit sleek and elegant, aren't that amazing. Speaking of skins that aren't that amazing, here we have the UMP45 Blaze, and like previously stated, the Blaze is just a flame and that's it. There are nicer looking UMP45 CSGO skins with better artwork designs for a cheaper price. And then for the MP9, I had to go with the Bulldozer. It's just the color yellow, nothing else. Next, the AK-47 Empress is the most overrated AK-47 skin in CSGO. Just kidding. Did I scare you? No, for real though, the AK-47 Fire Serpent is the most overrated CSGO skin. I do honestly think that. I own an AK-47 Fire Serpent. It's my favorite AK-47 skin in CSGO. Do I think it has the best design out of all the AK skins? Absolutely not. Does that matter to me whether or not I like it the most? No, it does not. So there you go. I like this skin. I think it's an amazing skin. You should like it as well, but at the end of the day, it is pretty overrated. Which brings me to the next CSGO skin on my list, which is the M4A4 Howl. It hurts me to have this skin on this list because it is my favorite CSGO skin, period. I own a Howl, I absolutely love this skin, but I will admit, it is pretty overrated. There are arguably nicer looking, nicer design M4A4 skins for a fraction, a tiny sliver of the price of the Howl. The only reason that this skin is so expensive is because it is contraband. If it was a regular covert skin, it probably wouldn't cost more than a neo-noir. I'm sorry, Howl, but it had to be said. However, the most overrated M4A1S skin probably is the M4A1S Knight, probably just because of its price and the fact that it is just so bland. Yet another CSGO skin that I own, but I believe is underrated. Moving right along to the AWP skin, I had to go with a Lightning Strike, and I know you guys were saying, whoa, why didn't you say Dragon Lore? Why didn't you say Medusa? Those are so overexpensive and overhyped, blah, 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 blah. I get it. But this is just a purple colored skin with lightning. Its pattern doesn't change. It has chip marks even in factory new. And to top it all off, it's a covert skin. The Atheris and the Mortis have much nicer designs than the Lightning Strike. I think I got the point across. Next up here we have the SSG-08 Blood in the Water. Sharks are cool and all, but this design isn't that amazing. For a covert scout skin, they could have done better. Next up here we have a Galil AR Sugar Rush. It's from the Hydra collection. I don't know, the skin is shiny and flashy and all, and you know, pink and whatever, but for some some reason, it doesn't have that oomph, that X factor, if you will, to make it like really stand out as like an amazing Galileo skin. To me at least, you guys might disagree, but moving on to the next CSGO skin on my list here, we have the FAMAS Jin. I think that's how you pronounce it, but it's just not that amazing, guys. It's a decent skin, but it's pretty overrated, you know, if you think about it. It doesn't have that great of a design. Like, I don't know why it's classified. It could easily just be restricted or whatever, so I think it's overrated. That's just my opinion. Let's move on to the next CSGO skin on my list, which is the SG553 Integral. The illustrious Integral. I mean, this skin is just so expensive. It's a new CSGO skin. The design is pretty cool, actually, but I just don't think it's worth the price. It had to be said. Speaking of skins that don't deserve the price, here we have the AUG Akihabara Accept. I just think it's absurd that this skin is going for over $2,000 in the factory new condition. Minimal wear is also not very cheap. Don't get me wrong, the design is pretty cool, and if you're into anime, you'll like this skin, but I still think it's overrated. Moving on to the SCAR 20 Grotto. Just kidding. The SCAR 20 Cyrex is a little bit more overrated than the Grotto. To me personally, I think that the Cyrex doesn't look that amazing on a SCAR 20 skin. I think it belongs on a USPS, it belongs on a M4A1S, and it also belongs on an SG. On a SCAR 20, not so much. And then for the G3 SG1, I had to go with the Chronos just because it's just so expensive and it's just not worth it. And then for the most overrated CSGO knife, it has to be some sort of fade. Yeah, it's probably gonna be the Karambit fade, but that's about all I had for this video, guys. So until next time, this is Fano, signing out.